Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Motor Mouth and Wild Bill Winters. And Bill, this is our spotlight edition, and we've got lots to talk about. And we're going to lead it off with Freddie Kitchens and the old T-shirt, aren't we, Bill?
Yes, good evening, Scott. How are you?
Doing great, thank you, Bill. Well, enjoyed being on the program with you. We're going to make sure we multiply these programs with the amount of fun we have. So go ahead, let's talk about Freddie Kitchens.
What can I tell you? We always make a joke about it starts at the top, and coaches always reflect, players always reflect their head coach. All right, and when you see a head coach wearing a T-shirt that says Pittsburgh started, okay, that tells you pretty much about the Browns organization. All right, you are the CEO of a franchise that represents a city, okay, and you put a shirt on like that, okay, then go to a movie theater with your little daughter who gave it to you as a present, okay, then you do a photo op with a fan, you take a picture of it, all right, you're the leader of an organization, okay, and basically what you're doing is causing attention to yourself, okay, instead of your team, okay, when you should be quiet and leading them by example. So really what it is to me is it's an embarrassment by the organization. It's another reason why he's probably going to be fired soon. We always talk, just be quiet and let your play and your coaching do your talking for you. Well, when someone does something like that, and well, it's just a T-shirt, they don't have respect for the game anymore. It's all about themselves, and their image and their brand. And if I'm the owner of the Browns, I'm really upset because I brought you in to coach a team to lead young men, not act like a young man. And I'm getting to the point now where he's crossed the line as far as I'm concerned. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but not anymore. I think what he did was foolish. I think it was same as self-promotion. And then when he got called, to talk about it, he wanted to, he basically, started all the nonsense that he would, to talk about. For example, he basically has probably already set up a deal, I would think, with the T-shirt company. So all he has to do is get fired. Then he's got a way to make money. Because he helped promote that company with a T-shirt, and that's selfishness as far as I'm concerned. And it just rankles me because right now we have a lot of people that are disrespecting the game,
right.
And we talk about this pendulum all the time. To the left is social justice and democracy and freedom for everyone. Everybody get an equal opportunity, and all the way to the right is American capitalism. Making money and all that, and the pendulum needs to stay in the middle. Okay, as a coach, you're the leader and CEO of a franchise, and you wear a T-shirt like that. That was just, to me, it was despicable. You can sit there and say, oh, it's not a big deal, it's just a T-shirt. It's a real big deal when you're the head coach of a franchise and you're going in to play a big game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which you don't win, okay, and you're causing attention to yourself.
Right.
And if you had any decency, okay, and respect for the game, you wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it.
A first class, attention grabber for all the wrong reasons. Go figure. Attention grabber. That's all
and
he is.
he wants to BS his way out of it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think anybody would see it. Freddie, who you kidding?
I never liked.
This is what I'm talking about. It's just there's no more commenting on it. It just goes again. What's wrong with that franchise?
Well, I've never liked it.
Throughout the show, you're going to see a few other things. We're going to call it the trickle-down effect of this kind of behavior.
Well,
what kind of message is it sending to our youth?
The only comment I'll say, okay, is I never liked Freddie Kitchens from the beginning, and I hope he's a one and done. And let me tell you, not getting into playoffs with the talent they supposedly had, only to see it go down this direction is an absolute outright an embarrassment, period. Now we won't talk about it anymore. With that said...
Well, they're not going to get that the Bengals are in their division, they'd be in last place. All they do is talk. Baker Mayfield didn't play very well, throwing the ball high again. Okay, and you got a head coach who's trying to be a child doing something like that when he should be leading a ball club. All right, and that just goes to the culture that's at the Browns right now. And no disrespect, he'll be out of a job in a year. And no disrespect, don't let the door hit you on the way out. As a player, obviously, I want leadership from my coach. I don't want to coach calm attention to something on myself. Okay, and I'm going to tell you this. This kind of reminds me of Mike Ditka a little bit when the Bears won the Super Bowl. He told his team, please don't get caught up in all these endorsement deals. Focus on football, all right, and do that. That's exactly what the team did. And he was out there grabbing every commercial, everything that he could, okay, that divided the team right down the middle. All right, and the Bears weren't even in the Super Bowl the following year, and they probably had one of the best teams in NFL history. So that just lets you know that it starts at the top and it trickles down. And you see organizations, okay, that don't have these kind of problems, like the Patriots. I'm going to tell you another organization that's starting to come on right now is the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, I'm watching a team that has unbelievable discipline, has got an unbelievable amount of bad breaks. Okay, but the reality of it is that players stay in line, play as a unit. All right, and this is what wins championships, not this kind of what I call nonsense.
Okay, with that said,
That's exactly what it is.
Let's stay out in Pittsburgh for a moment where an unfortunate incident took place and Terrell Pryor was involved in it being stabbed. I know we're going to talk about Pryor, and then we're going to go on to Maurice Clarett. Start off with Pryor first, Bill.
Well, there's a part of college football that I think is starting to miss a little bit at some of these large schools, because remember I told you about it's all about making money. Okay, Maurice Clarett had a horrible transition into the real world, and we all know what happened there. Okay, we have a player that comes out of there stable last year. This is the #1 draft choice. That isn't smart enough to keep his mouth shut and starts bad mouthing other players in the draft pool. Okay, and really hasn't played that well. And them taking a selfie on the sidelines. Where his coaches have to track him down. Now we have Terrell Pryor, who's 30 years old, played for 5 or 6 different clubs. Okay, getting stabbed. And you're wondering, what these guys are doing with their educations when they're not playing football. And it seems to me like, you want to see if Ohio State is educating these guys the way they should be educated as far as off-the-field conduct, okay, and not just being exploited, because they're football players, but giving these guys the opportunity to be able to act right. All right, and, nobody likes to see a player get stabbed, but I'm not going to make a comment, okay, on what's going on, but I just wonder, look, you played in the league for a long time. What kind of people are you hanging around with? You get stabbed, and then you have to walk into the emergency room at 4:30 in the morning, all right, and they find out it's you because, some gal stabbed you. I mean, this is, I just wonder, like, these guys are making a lot of money, all right, and some of them, are very wealthy, all right, by the time they're 21 years of age, and you wonder whether, what kind of things they're doing and how they get themselves in their predicaments.
As I understand,
that's my personal feeling. It bristles me.
As I understand, I think he was subsequently charged for a crime as well, so now him and his girlfriend have both been taken into custody. What comes of it is anybody's guess. We'll let the news play itself out. So let's talk about...
Well, when you're well educated, you can make the transition to the real world because you're more than a football player. And I don't know whether or not that's happening at some of these institutions. I think some of these players are getting used for their football ability, and that's it. Okay, and they should be getting, a little bit more of an education, all right, as far as, having to be a well-rounded individual.
Let's go on to Maurice Clarett, Bill. I know he had a lot of legal issues for a while, ended up serving time in jail, and from what I've heard, or prison, and I hear he's gone on to try to make a lot out of himself. So he's a feel-good story where he had a little bit of time in prison to think about what he had done. I think those are the kind of stories that we're hoping that we'll see a lot more of. And Maurice Clarett paid his dues to society after he had some issues. You know, Terrell Pryor's lucky he isn't dead. He really is. He
Yes.
just he's a lucky guy, and it's unfortunately though, and yet ironically, both of them were at Ohio State University. That's not an indictment against Ohio State University, but in this particular case, both guys played there. So.
What I'm saying here is this: we are educating student athletes. It just seems I'm really proud of Maurice Clarett, but you want to avoid having someone have to go into prison for a long, long time in order to learn something that should have been taught to them in college. And I just think that that pendulum is so far to the right now when it comes to money, that I'm starting to see it in the overall play of college athletes. They don't know how to tackle. They're doing things that are fundamentally unsound, which I'll talk about in a little bit, because they're worried about, trying to cause attention to themselves rather than think of the team. And it's these little things that get you beat. All right, and it's the same thing about life. All right, and I'm really proud of Maurice Clarett because these are all really good young men.
Right.
But I think these universities need to take a look at what kind of pressure these guys are under. All right, do they have some place to go to when there's an issue? Because you don't want to see something like this happen to a fine young man like Terrell. And I badger the NFLPA all the time. I said, you need a bat phone. I said, what I mean by players should be able to call up a 24-hour hotline if they have an issue, have somebody pick up the phone so we can avoid this kind of stuff. Simple, not expensive, something that the NFLPA should consider. I've talked to some of the guys up there about that in the past because it's tough for a young guy to be under a microscope. Everybody knows who you are, and everybody assumes that you live in the life of Riley. And quite frankly, he's probably a really fine young man. And to have something like this happen to him, we'd like to try to avoid these Maurice Claretts going to prison, these guys getting stabbed, by being proactive and giving this kind of education to these youngsters while they're in college, or giving them some place they can go to where they can call if they get in a jam. So these things are avoided.
Okay.
So these are the things I hope that will make this pendulum swing back towards the middle.
All right, let's go to a sport we don't talk a lot about, but we are tonight for a good reason, and that's hockey. And the guy I'm referring to in the organization is the Calgary Flames, and the coach I'm talking about is Bill Peters. Coaches are getting fired based on their actions that they said, and in this guy's case, they said that when he was in a minor league. So, Bill Peters, you know what? You can't do racial slurs at all. You just can't do it. And whatever he said in minor league hockey, it will not fly. And then I'm going to go, after we're done with our talk about Bill Peters, I'm going to go to a coach that hits me closer to home. But let's focus on the Calgary Flames, Bill, and Bill Peters first. Go ahead.
Well, evidently he lost his job over some racial slur from a couple years ago when he was in the minor leagues. And I just think that this is overreaction, and I think that pendulum is all the way to the left, where, people don't need to be terminated from their jobs, and people don't need to be overreacting. And I will tell you that there are times where I've seen people lash back because a player's not progressing or he feels like he's not being played enough. Okay, and something that they probably joked around with 3 years ago, in the locker room, all of a sudden now they can use that against them because the environment is, taking things like this and lighten up. That's the way I learned to laugh a little bit. This is getting serious to the point now where I'm watching people all over the place getting terminated, and I just think it's getting a little ridiculous. That's just my personal opinion. I don't really know a lot about the situation there, but I do know that I've been on the other side of the coin and been called things, and I just laugh at it because I know the players don't really mean it, and they're not really racist